I recall when I was much younger, the new thing was smart houses. We can control everything now through our smartphones. What a difference 30 years makes. I can recall how incredible it was that someone could go into their house and say, "Lights on," and the lights would come on. Now, low tech still makes me want to reach for the switch. Today, that is what God says in the Genesis lesson. Lights on. It's showtime. And God in his infinite wisdom would know that we would mess this whole thing up, but he still spoke the words and light still shone. Lately, I've had trouble remembering this. That the same God who said, "Let there be light," and the same God in Jesus Christ who said, "Peace, be still," can still the raging waters of our life, bring light into a place of darkness. So many of us have been sick, and it seems like Arizona is right now the epicenter of the battle. In the Exultet, that ancient prayer that is sung by a deacon over the Paschal candle at the Easter Vigil, and I know I'm out of season here, but the ancient prayer says, "How holy is this night when Christ broke the bonds of death and hell and rose victorious from the grave. But also how holy is the beginning. Jesus steps into the Jordan to inaugurate a 3-year ministry." Now let's be clear about some basic theology. Sacraments forgive sins. So the sinless one further identifies with us by stepping into the waters. There's even a tradition that water from the Jordan River doesn't even need to be blessed. Our Lord made it so through his own baptism. But our Lord really needed no baptism. There was no sin to forgive. Even John the Baptizer understood that. But he had to fulfill all righteousness by identifying with us in our very poor, pitiable, mortal, sinful state. That he had to set the example of entry into the church. All of us need a bath. We're all affected by the stains and scars of this world. So what do we do with the story that brings the creator of the universe who says, "Let there be light," and then also steps into our present darkness and into our waters? That he who knew no sin might sanctify and cleanse people who really had no hope. The story makes some sense based on the voice that comes from heaven. "This is my beloved." In other words, this is the one who gives us new life in our baptism and adopts lost people into a family with brothers and sisters. Did you catch that God speaks light into darkness? He speaks light into existence. He continues for 6 days to speak things. They all happen. And during the season of Epiphany, we experience manifestations. In other words, Jesus shows us what he is called to be, the ministry that he is called to inaugurate. And again, he does so through a series of miracles, all of which we will explore during this year, a very brief season. This week, my mother, who is a powerful Christian woman, shared with me a poem that really illustrates the power of Jesus coming to our level and identifying in our waters. You see, all the world's religions differ from the unique message of Christianity, for we serve a God who first served us. He was the one who flipped on the switch and gave light by only speaking the word, and then gives the sun. So here's the poem. Sometimes life seems hard to bear, full of sorrow, trouble, and woe. It is then that I remember it is in the valley that I grow. If I always stayed at the mountaintop and never experienced pain, I would never appreciate God's love and would live in vain. I have so much to learn, and my growth is very slow. Sometimes I need the mountaintops, but it's in the valleys that I grow. I do not understand why things happen the way they do, but I am very sure of one thing, that my Lord will see me through. My little valleys are nothing when I picture Christ on the cross. He went through the valley of death, his victory, Satan's loss. Forgive me, Lord, for complaining when I'm feeling so very low. Just give me a gentle reminder that it is in the valleys that I will grow. Continue to strengthen me, Lord, and use my life each day to share your love with others and help them on their way. Thank you for the valleys, Lord, for this one thing I know. The mountaintops are glorious, but it's in the valleys that I grow. Today, we commemorate Jesus stepping into our valley, assuming humanity and going to the point where we could enter into relationship with him. He takes upon us the waters that he knew, and we would need for a fresh start and a new promise. He's identifying with every one of us this morning in our common baptism. And as we celebrate that common baptism, let us celebrate the one who is willing to step into those waters himself to give us